All right, guys, in today's video, I want to show you the simplest way, really my favorite way and the easiest way to consistently square your club face up in your swing. And I'm telling you, this is the first thing you have to make sure that you have in there to get all of the other things we want in your swing. I've done this lesson or variation of this lesson tons of times recently with students. I do this with my own game. I'm going to give you some really simple ways throughout the downswing and also some checkpoints to hit, again, with this super simple drill. Let's dive in. All right, guys, so when it comes to squaring the club face in the swing, we're gonna start with making sure that we have some feels to get it square throughout the downswing, really early in the downswing and throughout the whole way. But I'm also gonna give you some backswing checkpoints that'll make your life easier. If you're someone who struggles with getting the club face square, right, you can expect that you would see some inconsistent contact. You'd have balls flying off to the right, probably short right misses and overall inconsistencies. The best golfers I work with are able to get the club face square the earliest, and really the most throughout the entire swing, and that provides them consistent contact, solid day-to-day, consistency high draws out on the golf course. So how I like to start someone out, and really the easiest way to do this, is with this little tee drill. You can pop a tee in the side of your glove. I saw this from Andrew Rice originally years ago, and I've been using it as like my go-to ever since. I'm gonna show you how you can reference this tee throughout the swing. Now, I find for myself and for players I work with, we really tend to like to have feels in the downswing and through the ball to take out onto the golf course, but I'm also going to give you how to use this tee on the way back. But let's start with on the way down and through. And really what I want you to see, and I'm going to just show you this from this down the line angle first, the more that this tee during the golf swing points down towards the ground, the more that the toe is going to be in front of the heel. That's the thing that closes the club face, okay, the tee down. Anytime the tee points up, that's gonna have the club face be more up, okay? So throughout the entire swing, relative to the tee, when I take my setup, it's pointed out towards the target. Anytime I'm pointing that thing a little bit more down towards the ground, anywhere throughout the swing, that's gonna be a club face closer, and for the sake of this drill, we're considered good. Anytime throughout the swing that this tee points up towards the sky, that's a club face opener, toe behind the heel, and we're gonna consider that bad for the sake of this video, okay? Now there's two main things that I like to use to square the club face outside of grip. I'm not gonna go over grip. We've got other videos on that. Let's assume you have a neutralish grip. The two main things that we like to use are wrist angles and arm rotation. And when I'm saying wrist angles, I'm talking about the wrist, the lead wrist or trail wrist. This lead wrist can go into some amount of bow, which would get this tee more towards the camera or away from the target, or it can go to cup, which would get it more towards me or the target. The cup or more towards me would be bad, club face opener, which also means that if I get the tee away from me, that helps me close that club face, which brings us to the first part of this that I really want you to feel, which is the tee pointing away from you to start the downswing. Okay, so if I take my normal setup position, I've just got an 8-iron here, and I make a backswing up to the top, this tee points some amount up and away, but I want to feel when I start down like I'm getting that tee or that glove logo pointed away from me early. And you notice the more I do that, the more that's twisting that toe in front of the heel or closing the club face. And so I like to really start a player there, and I want you to do this with me too, to get that sensation in the early part of the downswing, get that tee pointed more away from you early, and feel that toe get in front of the heel. That's gonna help close the club face and have the ball, you know, more towards a draw, or at least less of the fade, right, relative to where you're coming from. And if you have those weak right shots, you wanna feel this really the earliest and the most, right? So tee away from me. So normal setup, let's even say for now, normal up to the top, get that tee pointed away from me, away from the target, away from me to start down. It's gonna close the club face early. Yeah, and there's a really solid high, probably about 10-yard draw. So when you're doing this, you're looking for the ball to, you know, curve more left or less right than normal. If you're a player who hits a 20-yard fade, you might feel that, might still fade, maybe only 10 yards instead of the 20. Now, if you feel that wrist angle early in your downswing, that helps close the face and that gets you the ball flight and contact you want, I would leave it there, okay? But for some of my students and myself, it's like, okay, after I do that, what am I supposed to feel? If I want to continue closing the face, what I would do is have that tee, remember, pointed down towards the ground is going to help close it always. Up towards the sky is open it. So I'm going to feel the tee point away from me and then a little more down towards the ground. Down towards the ground. So away from me for like the first foot or so, and then down towards the ground into impact. Both of those are going to help close the face. It's with all clubs. Away, down. And that's another very solidly struck, high, probably 10-yard draw shot, maybe 5 feet left of my target line. So these would be the beginning of the downswing feels, right? Away, down. Away, down. Towards me and up, bad. Away and down, good. It's going to get that toe in front of the heel. Let's do one more, away and down. There again, solid, high, probably about a 10-yard draw, maybe a little more draw than I would normally have. I have a little draw anyway because I'm exaggerating, but that's what you want. Like if all of us watching got to the point where we were hitting the ball very solid and our main issue was that it overdrew to the left, right? We'd all be able to shoot in the 70s and 80s and under par. So it'd be a good problem. Now, if I'm doing this away and down and I'm still not getting it square enough before I look at any backswing pieces, I also wouldn't be shy about continuing to feel it down through the ball and having a normal amount of arm rotation. If I look at any good swing, at about shaft last parallel, I'd want to see the toe already, you know, on top of the heel. But at this point, the glove logo and tee would point away from me. I want to make sure that points roughly at the target by impact. And then I want to make sure it points left past impact. So I'm not going away, down, and then like up towards the sky, okay? I want to continue feeling that away, that down, all the way through the ball. And even I can feel on the way through, like I would have that point a little bit down and left, right? Notice as I point that down and left, that continues to get that toe in front of the heel. But Eric, that's a lot of club face rotation. Well, maybe, okay, but if you're coming from the face being too open, you might need to feel a lot of club face rotation just to get to square. I've given that lesson thousands of times over the past 15 years. Like, holy cow, Eric, I'm really closing the face. I'm like, nope, you're just normal swings 8 degrees open. So you have to feel a lot of it just to get to square. But my point is, feel it go away, down, and then down and left. Away, this is the tee away from me, slightly down towards the ground. No, I'm not talking crazy, okay? This is slightly down towards the ground. And then down and left. This would be like the ultimate club face closing, solid high draw shots. Away, down, and left. And there's another one where I felt like I was doing a crazy amount of that. That's a high draw 8-iron, probably 165 yards. Ball drew about 10 yards, lands just left of my target. How much of this do you do? I would say for you watching, I would do it to the point where you get your desired ball flight. Meaning, if you feel all these things I'm talking about and the ball's overdrawn to the left, then just do a little bit less of them. But if you're doing all these things I'm talking about and the ball's still missing to the right, you need to do more of them. How much more? Until you get to the point where you get the ball flight you want. So for me, if I want a 5-yard draw and my miss to be a slight overdraw, I'm not going to be shy about it. Away, down, and left. This away and down motion is that first piece, like the wrist angles I mentioned, but this going from pointed away from me at last parallel to down and left is the arm rotation piece. Okay, you want some amount of both of those to consistently square that face. I wouldn't be shy about either of them. So one more with this here, and then I'm just gonna give you some backswing checkpoints to feel, but away early, down, and then down and to the left. And do this until you have the ball, you know, overdrawing a little bit. Away, down, and left. And I'd be doing the same thing whether I was hitting a 4-iron, 5-iron, 8-iron, pitching wedge, etc. Now, some people say, Eric, you know, what about what I do on the way back? I'd say, well, you know, what you do on the way back only really matters to me so much as it affects the downswing. So if you're like me, or a lot of my players, like if I can feel those, or you can feel those things throughout the downswing, away, down, and left, and get the ball going where you want, I don't really want to add any backswing thoughts. But if you're doing all that and the ball's still going to the right, A, make sure your grip's correct, but B, we could make things easier by having the backswing be easier, right? Just logically, we're trying to close a club face just like closing a door, which means what? Which means the more I open it on the way back, the more I got to close it on the way through. Wouldn't it just be easier, Eric, to have it less open? Keep it more closed on the way back? Absolutely. Do I have to do that? Definitely not. Can I do that? For sure, right? And so how I would use this to check those, to start simple, is during the first half of my swing. This is where most people go off right here. Remember we said the tee going slightly down keeps the face closed. The tee up makes it open. So I would make sure if I'm struggling closing the face, any club, that that tee's slightly down early. That tee's slightly down early, and then I could still feel my away, down and left. But make sure you get this first phase correct. Keep the tee down towards the ground, throw in the early part of the takeaway. And then continue feeling like that's going down. And these are all very high, little tight draws. Like, man, isn't that a lot to think about? Well, yeah, but you don't have to do all those spots at once, right? I'm just giving you different options, like which you can use any of these, right? Throughout the entire swing. I like to feel early downswing and through the ball personally. But I wouldn't mind you feeling, if you like takeaway or backswing, keep the tee down. Remember, slightly down's good. Get it going a little towards the camera or away from the target on the way back's fine. More of it in transition, down towards the ground and to the left, okay? So if I wanted the backswing version, I'd keep the tee of the glove logo down a little and then point it more away from me. And if that gets you the closure, that's totally cool too. Down and away. Like I can do that on the way back and feel like I'm doing it on the way back and produce that same draw shot. And for most of you, that's all you're looking for. You're looking for a feel to produce a result. It doesn't even really matter if you actually do those things. It's that you're moving in that direction to close the face more, to hit it more solid, right? So backswing one more time. We'll just go over each one, even though I've said it 19 times before I get sick of it. Backswing is the tee down and away. That would close the face. Backswing is the tee down and away. Both of those would close the face. If I don't want those backswing ones, right, if I didn't want to go down and away, good news, because the downswing is the same thing, just reverse order. Away, down, down and left. Down to the point where it almost feels like the tee is kind of pointed down at the ball. And then down and left on the way through. Okay, one more downswing. Away, down, down and left. I mean, those are really good. My new Tacoma irons, if you guys haven't checked them out, I'll put a link down below. Very solid, feel very good. But that's how you square the club face up, right? It's wrist angles and it's arm rotation. Start with making sure your grip's okay. The more neutral your club face is on the way back, the less work you have to do on the way down. But there's nothing wrong with feeling the wrist angles in transition. There's nothing wrong with feeling more arm rotation on the way through. All of this stuff is somewhat grip dependent, right? The weaker your grip is, the more you're going to need to do these things to square the face. The stronger your grip is turned, the less you're going to need to do these things. But either way, those are like go-to simple feels that have been around forever, that will be around forever. The wrist angle, tee away from you and down. I just like this in to give you a little bit of visual to do those. Any questions, as always, leave us a comment down below. Appreciate you guys watching.